right, well, do you earn enough to be in the top 1% tax bracket of your state? A new study from Smart Asset ranking all 50 states from lowest to highest income needed to be in that top 1% of each state. Coming in at number one, your home state, Dave, Connecticut. You have to make around $955,000 to be in the top 1% of taxpayers there. Connecticut is followed by Massachusetts, New Jersey, my home state, New York, and California. In all of these states, you need to make over $800,000 a year to be considered in that top 1%.
My goodness, those are astounding numbers for ordinary Americans just watching this. $900,000. And when I look at that top five, there's really a fundamental disconnect that I see. It's really untethered from what you would assume, because my assumption would be that these would be highly performing economies. Not at all the case. I love my state. Connecticut is a wonderful place to live. However, at best, it's middle of the pack. U.S. News has it as the 22nd ranked economy in the United States. Now, California is the one that stands out to me. Massachusetts, a pretty solid economy. California, no, in the top 10. But New York and New Jersey is the 33rd overall ranked economy, according to U.S. News. And New York is 43rd. So again, really untethered to the success of that state's economy, shows how giant the wealth gap is in Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey, the tri-state area.
Yeah, certainly a massive wealth gap. And like you're saying, when you compare it to the average, what Americans are making, the average American household earns a median income of under $70,000. So $70,000 compared to over $900,000, the top 1% in your state. Obviously, a massive, massive gap there.
And Connecticut, I mentioned their economy losing Lego headquarters today to Massachusetts, one of those states on the list. Since most of us cannot relate to those numbers, let's look at the other end of the income bracket. And well, still pretty hard to relate to these numbers as well, but these are the bottom five, depending on how you look at it. The top 1% states, Kentucky, Arkansas, New Mexico, Mississippi, and West Virginia is number 1 or number 50, depending on how you look at it. But still, to be in the top 1% in West Virginia, $375,000 a year. Now, on the flip side of my observation with the top five, these are really tethered to, largely speaking, underperforming economies. West Virginia, Mississippi, Kentucky, and Arkansas, all in the bottom 10 of that U.S. News ranking of states' economies. Those are states that have been struggling, economically speaking, for a number of years. So that, on the bottom end, makes a little bit more sense. Still an extraordinary amount of money.
It certainly is. And less than 10% of all households earn more than $200,000, which is far below West Virginia there, which ranked fifth, which is just below $400,000. So I mean, clearly there is a massive disconnect, a massive wealth gap, like you were talking about when you compare really all 50 states. What we're seeing, the average numbers there, comparing that to the average household, the American household, what they take home every year. It's no surprise that so many Americans are being hurt so drastically by inflation, and with no relief really in sight. It's a very, very tough economy here for at least the next couple of quarters.
I'm sure there's some people in that top 1%, but that is depressing, seeing those numbers.
It's very depressing.
Knowing how far you are away from the top 1%.
Yeah, and you're up against the stiffest competition up there in Connecticut.
Man.